Yay! Hexgwen, Yadak Shinwenwen, Yadak Sheet, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am so excited for this event today and thank you all for being here. My ancestral name is Kaweya. I am from the Ntlaka'pamux Nation. I am the daughter of a residential school survivor and cycle breaker for my 2 young sons. I'm the founder and artist of Sacred Matriarch Creative, performing artist Sacred, and recently the new global Indigenous lead for SheEO. I humbly speak as a guest on the unsurrendered, unceded, stolen lands of the Puntledge, Snotnawas, and Snuneymuxw people. Today, I honor the original people of these lands by entering into our space with a Hulkaminum song and wearing Kosalish couture, both created by SheEO activators at Laylam. I commit my knowledge and gifts to the children and youth of these lands so that they may rise up knowing their Indigenous beauty in all its forms, self-determine their own successes, and heal at transformational depths, impacting their communities from grassroots to global. I would like to thank the co-creation of the Indigenous Lift Circle, founded by Tira Fraser, supported by SheEO. Without the Lift Circle, I would not be here with you beautiful humans today. Let's continue to co-create the conditions for Indigenous women, two-spirit, transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse entrepreneurs to thrive. Our event is being live captioned by Otter AI. You can access the live captioning from the Otter AI bar on the top left corner of the screen. Remember to use hashtags SheEO Magic and Indigenous Learning to live out loud on socials. As we move through shaking old systems and narratives, we ground ourselves in the soul knowing that Indigenous ways of knowing and being will lead the way to shaping of a new system and world rooted with ancestral Indigenous wisdom. Today, we'll be having 2 discussions among ventures, activators, one on culture and the other on economy. We'll also have the opportunity to focus on relationship building and reflect in small groups guided by our Indigenous relatives from around the world. So exciting. To start us off, I'd like to introduce SheEO activator, Joanne Ramamanga, to open the event.
You're on mute, hon.
Tima tāno, nā mihi mahana ki a koutou, he tino hari ko au, kei te huakina tēnei hui I tēnei ata, kei te timatau I te karakia. Pau hihiri, pau rārama, pau o te whakaaro, pau o te tangata, pau o te aroha, te pau e here ngai I a tātou, mauri ora ki a tātou, haumi e, hui e, tae ki e. May clarity be yours, may understanding be yours. Through reflection, through personal endeavour, through respect, the virtues which bind us as one may be filled with well-being, bound together, unified. Nā mihi. Ko Waio, ko Joama, taku ingoa, ko Taupirita Maunga, ko Waikato Te Awa, ko Kahotea taku marae, ko Ngā Te Apakura taku iwi. Kia ora everybody, I'm Jo Rama, activator from Aotearoa, grandmother of 13, nearly 14, mother of 11, 7 I birthed. I'm a disruptor, been fighting all my life for Indigenous rights in Aotearoa, and it's my absolute privilege to open today's session. Ngā mihi.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Joanne. I would like to introduce Vicki Saunders, the founder of SheEO.
I'm so happy to be here today, coming to you from the Dish with One Spoon Treaty on Turtle Island. Really thrilled to be here today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Echo. I want to just tell you a little bit about how we got into relationship with Indigenous peoples in each of the countries that we're in so far. When I started SheEO, we talked a lot about new models and new mindsets and new solutions for a better world. I've been on a journey for decades to try and understand systems and behavior and culture and how to hack this crazy system that we're in. But what was really underneath a lot of my thinking was, what is the wisdom from the ages that we need to tune into to get out of this mess that humanity has created? And so we use language like new words, activator, and radical generosity to try and unlock what was inside of us that we know from our ancestors of how to be together in relationship with nature to get back to our roots. So it was in the DNA of this idea from the beginning. And then at our first Australian summit, oh, it's like so emotional. I don't know if Carol's here, but I remember I was sitting at a table with Carol Vale, who is an Aboriginal leader working very closely with the business community in Australia. And as they announced the cohort, I could just see Carol's face sort of dropping. And it was an all-white cohort. And I looked at her and she's just like, it's very emotional because she was just like, you know, look at this new model. We love it. It's so connected to the roots of what we do in the world. And if this group can't select Indigenous entrepreneurs, who's ever going to do this? I can still feel you, Carol. And I have this thing about getting to action, sometimes too quickly, and fix it. Like, how can we do something about this? And I understand it's a very colonial mindset, but I recognized in her that we needed to do something about this. And so I said, how do you feel about quotas? Which was the only word that came to mind on this. And I said, what if we reserved a spot, at least one, for an Aboriginal founder each year? How would that feel? Because at that time, people were still not too happy with quotas. And so she said, that would be fine with me. That would be great. And so we checked around with a few other people, and then we got up on stage together, and or maybe she did it herself, I can't remember. And we asked the community, what do you think? Would you be willing to hold a space for at least one space for an Aboriginal founder? And everyone said yes immediately, hands up, cheering. It was so special. And then we did the same thing in New Zealand. And I remember Joanne coming to you and saying, what do you think about quotas? How do you feel? Because of course, like suggesting these things in some ways kind of feels yucky, for lack of some better term. And we just can't continue to fund the same people who have been funded before and support the same people. And Joanne was on board, and New Zealand activators jumped right in. And in the next year selected 3 Māori ventures, which is incredible. And Australia selected the incredible Michaela Jade, who you will hear from. And then Carol kind of opened up my brain with this question, which I thought was so powerful, which is, how are we actually going to fund more Indigenous Aboriginal Māori ventures if we don't get more of them in the community at early stages so they can build relationships and get support and tap into the resources of our community? And I had never thought of it that way. I thought that was so brilliant. And so we came up with this concept of gifting in spots for those who were potential ventures and those who really resonated with our model. And so that became something that we shared in other countries, and that started in Australia with Carol's suggestion. So I'm so grateful for that, because in Canada, we had already funded 2 incredible Indigenous ventures, Patrice from Satya and Devon from She Native. And we'd been talking to Tira Fraser, one of our activators and a founder of the Lift Collective, about how we could support her mission to create the conditions for Indigenous women in business to thrive. And Tira and I talked a lot about this, and then we're like, let's just do something. So we started these calls just over a year ago. And every week on Sundays, we would meet for an hour with Indigenous women entrepreneurs across Canada and just practice asking and giving, which they were so natural at, so much more than the rest of our community. Really, this sisterhood of helping one another and asking for help led to, collective giveaways. Let's put all of our stuff together and have a giveaway. And the next week they'd come back, I got 1,000 followers, let's do more of this. And the circle expanded and expanded. And now there's about 200 Indigenous women-led businesses across Canada. They invited government ministers to the call and told them that they should be changing policies and explained the unique barriers they're facing. And then they talked about procurement and invited the procurement minister to come. I mean, this group is just on fire and a great example for all of us to witness, I love that word, what we can collectively do when we come together in sisterhood, in community to help one another. So today, then last year we gifted in about 50 Indigenous women activators and had 5 Indigenous women in Canada selected this year as ventures. So now around the world, about 11% of our portfolio of 107 ventures are Indigenous, which is an unheard of number in any kind of like business portfolio. And it's really just so rooted in radical generosity and love and commitment to healing one another and an openness of our amazing community of activators. So thank you very much, all of you, for embracing communities that have often been put to the margins because we need them. And I just wanted to share a couple of things that I've learned by getting into deeper relationship with Indigenous Aboriginal Māori women. First off was at our global summit, I did my first land acknowledgement, and I was forced to do this by Tira Fraser and her daughter Kiana, who I kept trying to find an elder to come and do the land acknowledgement, and they said, sure, okay, yeah. And at the very last minute, the day before, they said, you must do this. And so I stood on stage and I shook, and I did this. And since then, our community has done hundreds of land acknowledgements, many people for the first time, stepping into their discomfort to build relationships. This has just been so important. Another person who's had a huge impact on our team is Andrea Menard, who we asked to join us at a year-end call. And she started this meeting by having us bring all the elements with us: water, air, plant, earth. It was amazing. And we came to this meeting with a very different spirit at the end of a year, very tired as a crew. And her first question was, my self-care goes out the window when? And the questions were Monday to Friday. Answers are a lot of just ahas that happened. And it truly, Andrea, unlocked an understanding in our team of how important it is to care for ourselves and to pace ourselves with the seasons as we do this work. So thank you to you for that. And Echo, when we met you and you walked into our world and shook it, got us right down to the roots and started to deliver this incredible programming rooted in your story. It's by far the most powerful transformative programming we have, if feedback is any indication. Your work to decolonize business models and ourselves is having a huge impact on us. In fact, just a quick story, we will share this at some point, but we sent an employment contract to Echo, and she very quickly sent back her contract to us, which had no legalese in it at all, and was very much based on seasons and how she feels about time and about value. And so we are now redoing our contracts, and hopefully we will spread this around the world for others to share. Finally, our model for funding is really aligned with the potlatch and other kinds of the hagbat, which they have in Somalia, the sisu in Southern Africa. And it's really about pooling capital each year, sharing it out in the spirit of radical generosity with those who need it most and are working on issues that are of critical priority to our community. And then people return that capital, reciprocity, to the community so that it can be shared again. And this constant flow of gifts that are given and accepted and reciprocated at SheEO, we have learned is rooted very much in Indigenous wisdom. So I want to thank everybody who's here today. I want to welcome in all of the guests. If what you experience today, if what you hear today, what you see today resonates with you, if you would like to get involved in our community, please reach out. We have gifted spots for Black, Indigenous women of color to join us. We are here to create equitable systems that will benefit all. And we thank you very much for being here today. Back to you, Echo.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vicki. Next, I would like to introduce virtually. She's not able to be here today. Michaela Jade is the founder of Australian SheEO venture in digital. While she's not able to be here, we wanted to play a quick 2-minute video of her sharing her business growth and the impact the SheEO community has had on her.
I'm here because there were two amazing people that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And those two women are Anne-Marie Elias and Julie Trell. And I'm getting a bit teared up because I was a really low point when they asked me to join SheEO. I spent my last $1,200 on joining as an activator in 2018. And I was trying to get my venture off the ground. I then wasn't able to afford my second year, so Anne-Marie Elias stepped in and supported me as an activator, and Julie Trell encouraged me to apply as a venture. And at the time, it was just myself, and then the wonderful Joanna Baker joined me, and we applied to become a venture together. That was a life-changing experience for us. We had the support we needed to finally believe in ourselves and grow. We had ambitious targets, and SheEO made us do a company dashboard at the first venture retreat. And I'm proud to say that we've achieved every single one of the goals in there within 9 months, which we thought would take us a couple of years, which included bringing on the most incredible Indigenous team into my company that I could have ever dreamed of. And a lot of them are on the call today. And I really thank Peter and Chelsea and Karis and Joe. And Cassandra and Matt for joining our team and helping us reach thousands of kids to teach them digital skills. We're really, really proud to have also supported several Indigenous ventures to join SheEO Network. We funded them 2 women to join ourselves now, and we continually encourage other Indigenous women to get involved in activating and get involved in the network because it has been so life-changing for us. And in particular, I just wanted to say thank you to the other activators and ventures who've been involved in our business, and also to the wonderful MJ who mentors us every fortnight, which has been so integral to helping us shape our company to what it is today. And I really couldn't have done it without everybody being involved. So thank you so much.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Okay. You can learn more about Indigital through the links that Nat will post in the chat. And now we're going to move to our first discussion on culture. A dear friend and mentor that I regularly learn from, Kuya Greg Charlson, always shares that connection is the correction. At the heart of rematriation, resurgence, and reclamation is the connection we have to ourselves, each other, the land, our ceremonies, songs, medicines, languages, and ancestors. With this next panel, I would like to honor these beautiful, beautiful humans who are walking, living, breathing this work. I would like to welcome Stephanie Slate and Keeper of Essence at SheEO Venture, the A-Linker, Lynn Marie Angus, co-founder of SheEO Venture Sisters Sage, Tira Fraser, founder of SheEO Venture Esqueo Air. All are also activators in our community. Hello, beautiful humans.
Hello. Hello. Ante, Joel, hello.
Hi.
So I would like to ask each of you to introduce yourselves in your own way. Stephanie, can I start with you?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Echo and the SheEO team. I'm honored and humbled to be asked to be a part of this. Good day, everyone. My traditional name is Good Medicine Woman. My English name is Stephanie. My traditional name was gifted to me a long time ago by an elder in a ceremony. And I strive to live up to that name by bringing good medicine wherever I go. I am, as you can maybe see by looking at me, a woman of mixed heritage. I did not come home to my culture until I was in my early 40s. And I am now 63 summers. It has been an interesting journey to relearn everything. I was born and raised on the ancestral lands of the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota people. And I currently reside in southeastern Arizona on the ancestral lands of the Chiricahua Apache and the Tohono O'odham people. I am an avid water and land protector, a spiritual warrior, an auntie, a disabled person, a singer and drummer, a jewelry designer, and so much more. But at the heart of everything, I am a storyteller. So I am extremely grateful to Echo and the SheEO team and all of you to have this opportunity to share some of my story with you. Wopila.
Stem, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, my friend. Tira, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much. Tanse Kiawao, hello to all of you. My name is Tira Fraser, and I am a proud Métis woman, mixed heritage, Métis on my father's side. Last night in Andrea Menard's amazing matriarch in training program, I said that I was Fort Chip Fraser, which is, I should say that more often. So my family is from a fly-in, fly-out community in Northern Alberta, and I'm very proud to be Métis. And I don't know if it's turning 50 summers, Stephanie, but at 50 summers, I'm feeling pretty unwavering in who I am as a Métis woman. Unwavering and feisty and disruptive. What else do I want to tell you about me? I am an aviator, a learner, a teacher, a mother, a daughter, an entrepreneur, an academic. I don't know how that happened. I didn't even graduate high school, don't tell anyone. And now I'm like an actual academic, so strange. And yes, Jessie Wang, I am also a Wonder Woman, apparently. And founder of the Raven Institute, founder of Esqueo Air, and also founder of the Indigenous Lift Collective. And I am in love with this community. I'm in love with Vicki Saunders. I even sent her a message the other day, I love you. And I'm in love with each and every person that brings their spirit and their mind and their hardworking hands and their beautiful hearts to this community.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Tira. Over to you, Lynn Marie.
How do I even follow that? Tira, you're also a friend. Indelawan, Wa, Sigidim Hanak, Lynn Marie Angus, Dewayu, Ada Kuatbam Yao Dewayu, Gitgatla Nishka Cree, Ada Métis, Diwa Watgu, Lucky Boo, Diwa Padegu. So what I did was I just introduced myself in my ancestral language, which I'm learning from my father's side. I said, hello, everyone, welcome matriarchs. My name is Lynn Marie Angus. My ancestral name is Kuitbam Yao, which means wolf that goes ahead for food. And I come from the Niska, Gitgatla, Cree, and Métis nations. I'm also from the Wolf clan, hence my name, Wolf Who Goes Ahead for Food. I feel like Stephanie and Tira, you're both like, I'm an auntie and an entrepreneur, and I didn't plan to introduce myself that way. But I guess like, yeah, and I was just like gonna talk about business and this is what I do. But yeah, in life, I hold many hats. I'm an auntie. And, you know, something that I want to talk about really, really quickly is I made a post about it today, and it's about the issue that's going on in Palestine today. And I'm an auntie to a young Métis Palestinian girl who her family is in Palestine and is suffering huge atrocious atrocities by colonizers. This is something that's been really affecting me the last couple of days, watching lots of videos. And so I wanted to bring that up at the beginning, and we don't have to talk about it a lot, but I just wanted to make sure that that was mentioned. So I'm the owner of Sister Sage, which is an Indigenous wellness brand located and operating on the unceded traditional territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh people here in beautiful East Vancouver. This is my home where I operate my business, and I use my culture to create modern self-care and wellness products. And I'm so excited to be here with these lovely women. Back over to you, Echo.
So much, Lynn-Marie. So I would love to dive into that a little bit more. Actually, this is exactly what we're exploring right now, is in what ways do you live and breathe your culture in both life and business? So Lynn-Marie, you were just about to speak on that as well. So do you want to dive in a little bit deeper for that?
Sure. I feel like there's so many different ways I can talk about this. Let me just quickly, the beginning is my culture. A lot of people say that you're supposed to really separate your personal and business and keep it separate. And for me, I mean, there's a bit of separation, but it's a mesh, it's an amalgamation. And I take my culture and my personal life, and I use that to inspire my entrepreneur and my business life, because they are all the same and they are connected. And as an Indigenous person of this land now called Canada, we were the original entrepreneurs. And so, it wasn't a disconnect before. And so I'm trying to just recreate that and bring that back and move forward, inspiring and motivating other Indigenous women to define their own financial futures through Indigenous business as a take back and an economic reconciliation back to what was taken from us. And just to become what we were meant to always be. So I guess that's the culture going back and forth, personal and business. Another, I guess, brief thing is my social media platforms. I really, really use to vocalize what is important to me as an Indigenous person, and which should be important to everybody as Canadians and as treaty people. That is important to us. And I use my platform and I use my voice to speak for those who are oppressed and marginalized and who can have issues and problems being able to use their voice, because they're, for many reasons, they're scared or they're afraid of backlash or being oppressed. But I'm not. Mama raised a warrior, and I'm here to make a stand. How's that?
Mic drop. Stephanie, my beautiful friend, do you want to share some pieces about your work with A-Linker? And then you also have some beautiful, beautiful beadwork you are birthing into the world.
Thank you. Gosh, how do I follow that, Lynn-Marie? I'm the same way, I live and breathe my culture with every breath I take. So everything I do is immersed in it. I'm so fortunate to work for an amazing company, A-Linker, USA and Canada, that allows me to bring in my culture into everything that I do with the business. When I first joined A-Linker, I was given the opportunity to have a voice in the sense of having a weekly live Instagram where all I had to do was just tell Indigenous stories and talk about Indigenous history. And what a gift that was. It was just amazing. So it's just in every part of my being. And one of the things that I practice all the time, and I've talked about this in some other SheEO circles, is the concept of the hollow bone, which means I really work on emptying myself and my ego, my needs, my wants, however you want to put it, just emptying that to allow spirit to come through me. And by doing that, when I can allow spirit to come through me in that way, it makes everything flow so much more beautifully. It makes things come through that wouldn't have come through. It makes everything so much more organic and grounded. And I'm just so fortunate to be in a company that allows me to do that. And then you talked about my jewelry and my beadwork. I'm so fortunate that I'm so blessed. Echo, I was in a group with you on dreaming that allowed me to dream into existence. I'd kind of given up on doing my beadwork and my jewelry because the world had just kind of gotten to me and I wasn't feeling creative at all, because I have to feel good and I have to be able to put that into my work. But then I dreamed into existence this group of creations that was based upon the 4 elements: air, water, fire, earth. And I'm birthing that into being now, and it's just amazing, and I can't wait for it to come out for all of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Tira, I wonder if you could speak on the ways that you incorporate your own teachings from nature in your business. So if there are metaphors or ways that the natural world speaks to you and how you integrate this into your business.
Oh my goodness. That'll come, but there's a whole bunch of things that want to come out first. And then you might have to remind me of the question. But this idea that we need to keep things separate. I just want to, speak to that. Like, it's just all one big messy mess. It's like water. That'd be just like saying, okay, let's just like compartmentalize the ocean into pieces, and neither piece is going to touch one another. I mean, that's just a ridiculous concept. Like, we're human beings. It is all one. It is all connected. It's all, interconnected, and just one big messy mess. And just being proud of that. And when you were asking the question about living and breathing culture, as I was listening to my amazing sisters here, amazing, I was just thinking about how even in the name SheEO Air, so I'm SheEO Air is just a small airline, and just like one small humble airplane for right now, but I named it that. Aviation and aerospace is as patriarchal as it gets. It is like this one big dinosaur. And so where I spent my whole early times like defeminizing myself, like actually defeminizing myself as much as humanly possible. And to come all the way to naming a business in aviation, SheEO Air, which means woman air. And I did that as an act of reclamation of womanhood, #rematriate, reclamation of matriarchal leadership, #rematriate, and reclamation of language. And, an example of that is love, how we bring love. That is part of rematriating, is really bringing our whole selves and our whole heart. So I talk about love, and I call my airline Woman Air. And when it comes to connecting with nature in particular, I've spent 2 decades in this industry. It's what I know, and it's part of my gifts. And what I've learned is that it's my responsibility to share what I know and to share my gifts with the world. And having trouble reconciling that. And so now my whole vision has broken open around how now this airline is the bridge between traditional air transportation and the sustainable transportation of the future, and how we can create a sustainable air transportation system centering equity, sustainability, and most importantly, resilience. And how do we put Indigenous peoples at the forefront of innovation and new technology? How do we bring our wisdom, Indigenous wisdom, together with modern technologies to uplift Indigenous land story, sovereignty, and stewardship? So I don't know, Echo, if that answers your question, but that's what I got to say.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Exactly. It's all connected, right? I can ask whatever questions, but it is all connected. And whatever comes out of our mouths is exactly what we need to hear in that moment. I want to be mindful of our time. We have about 2 minutes to wrap up this conversation already. So I want to ask, what message would you like to share with our audience here today? Lynn Marie, I'll start with you.
Thanks, Echo. I always say this, people always ask me that, what's your, what can you give to entrepreneurs or people? And I always say, just be your authentic self. I always try to lead with my authenticity and my integrity. And so far that's worked out for me. So good luck with that. Thanks for having me here, Echo.
Thanks so much, Lynn Marie. And Stephanie.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I would echo what Lynn Marie said. Just always leading with your true self and authenticity and allowing spirit to work through you, being open to that, not falling victim to those colonialized mindsets, and allowing yourself to think outside the box and just freaking destroy the box. You know. Just get rid of the box altogether, the damn thing. And you know, just come at things from what you know. We all know, we all have our teachings, we all have our things that we know, and to go back to that and say, what do I know? How does that inform how I make this decision, how I take this next step, where I go from here?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Tira.
Indigenous voice, worldview, and wisdom is what the world desperately needs, and it is the pathway home for every trouble before us. #disrupt. Dream it, design it, do it. And if you need a kick in the butt, dream it, design it, quit screwing around and just do it. #rematriate. And last of all, you belong everywhere you dream to be.
Thank you so much. That last piece, I'm just tears and feeling a little bit choked up. Thank you so much for your work, Tira. You have inspired so many of us, and Lynn Marie and Stephanie, like, I am who I am because you are who you are. And thank you so much for your beautiful, beautiful work in the world, for joining us here on this panel. I raise my hands to each of you. Cook's Gem, thank you so much. Yes, good medicine. Beautiful. I just want to acknowledge all of the movement that's happening in the chat and the feedback. I absolutely love it. And I imagine all of us sitting in circle together and having this beautiful energy of rematriation. One of the greatest lessons I've learned from my own teachers is the importance of relationship building, establishing that connection. We are going to move into small breakout circles now to co-create a space for relationship building. We have dozens of Indigenous, Aboriginal, and Maori facilitators joining us from 4 different regions today. And I'm just going to prompt with, this is what we're exploring. We'll have our facilitators discuss, and then as a group, we'll discuss. So for the facilitators, through your own lens, what does it mean to build relationships with ourselves and each other while honoring the lands we come from and walk on? And then we will prompt the audience, the group in breakout circle. How do you commit to strengthening relationships with the lands you live on and its original people? Or how do you strengthen your own relationship with yourself and your homelands? So these will also be in the chat that we can look on as well. And I just want to check in with Nat. Are we ready to move into breakout rooms?
We should be good to go.
Beautiful.
Perfect. I'm going to open the breakout rooms now, and we'll see everyone back in about 15 minutes.
And Nat has waved her wand. We are officially back. Give me a minute here. I was in the middle of like talking about like water and energy moving, and then yeah, hello. That was wonderful. I really enjoyed our dialogue. If you can, please share in the chat. I agree, not enough time. So please share some reflections in the chat of what came up for you in your breakout circle. And I'm just gonna
echo. Are we putting our 3 words in here now, or are we waiting to do that?
Yep, absolutely. Put your 3 words in. And me as a facilitator totally forgot about my 3 words.
Thank goodness. Echo.
Yours.
So did I. I also forgot. But so if we didn't get to 3 words, maybe each person could put the 3 words that came up for them.
Absolutely. That sounds perfect. So I'm just going to call a few: connection, feminine power. We are all together, heart connection, energy shifting power, fascinating, inspiring, daunting, honoring, learning, humility. Oh my goodness, yes, these are absolutely beautiful. Connection, collaboration, sharing, listen, grow, voice, nurture. Mwah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful discussions. I'm gonna ask everyone to just take a breath with me and settle back into the space, because I got really like vibrating and I was like, I love conversations like that. So we're just gonna plant our feet or our bums, whatever you're on the ground. And then we're gonna take a collective breath together. So inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And bring ourselves back into this space together. Cookstem, thank you. Okay, so next I would like to introduce Candice Pardi, who's the founder of Job Loads, a New Zealand venture, SheEO venture, and digital solution that removes the friction workers and businesses experience when they work on temporary jobs together. While Candice wasn't able to join us today, this is a snapshot into her journey that led to her building her SheEO venture. So when we're ready, we'll play the video.
Renee, it's just on mute.
Ngā mihi mahana I tēnei wā, ko hukirangi te maunga, ko waiapū te awa, ko harauta te waka, ko hine pari te marae, ko Ngāti Porou te iwi, ko Candice Pardi ahau no te taira whiti. Warm greetings to everyone. I'm Candice Pardi from Gisborne, from Job Loads. I'm so thankful to be here. My whakapapa and ancestral roots that I just spoke about embedded heavily on the East Coast. And I come from pretty humble beginnings, and I guess to know me and my why, I wanted to talk about that a bit more, and why I'm steering the Job Loads waka, I guess, is to understand where I come from. And I guess interestingly as well, that I grew up as an urban Māori, and that's something I wanted to touch on as well. I haven't actually been back, I did my pepeha then, it's like a Māori introduction, and talking about my mountain, my river, my marae, but I haven't actually been back to my mountain, my river and marae for the last 15 years. Yeah, heavily entrenched, I guess, in the urban world now. And yeah, my nana, it all started with my nana. She was the youngest of 18 children, and she grew up in a small whare on a farm in rural Rangitukia, which is 2 hours north of Gisborne. And in the 50s, my nana moved into Gisborne to find paid work. And so interestingly, in the 50 years between 1936 and 1986, the Māori population changed from 83% rural to 83% urban. And this is one of the fastest rates of urbanisation in the world. And it was the first time many Pākehā came into close contact with Māori. And this caused a lot of friction and social problems. So I think it's quite pertinent to talk about with what I'm about. Many Māori experienced discrimination in finding accommodation and employment through this period, and they had less education and fewer skills than the majority of the population, and were more likely to be unemployed. So then in the 60s, when my mother was born, she came into a really unstable home environment, and she lived in a state home as one of 9 kids. And so by the time I was born 20 years later, I'm one of 8 siblings. Not much had changed on the social and economic front for my whānau. And when my parents divorced when I was 6 years old, my mum relied heavily on our welfare state and worked seasonal jobs on and off for the next 25 years. Generations of poverty, mental illness, domestic violence, drug and alcohol abuse, and unemployment have plagued my family. When I was little, although I was the middle child, there was a natural leadership in me, and I could hustle the people around me to do things my way. So as I began to thrive in the Pākehā education system, this opened up many opportunities for me. I went on to work as a retail merchant in big box retail and FMCG for most of my corporate career. And I was the first to go to university as well, something I always like to mention. And then in 2017, I moved my whānau home to Gisborne. I bought a commercial persimmon orchard. And then I went on to look for seasonal workers to do jobs on my orchard. And I came across a big problem. Where are all the pickers? was one of the things I used to ask myself. Why are they so unreliable, and how do I access them? And there's multiple ways of accessing them, right? Most growers will call a contractor, and that's what I did, hope that they can help me. They normally will bring out backpackers and RSE migrant workers and Kiwi-based workers in vans to your site to work for you. Oh. And that's where I started Job Loads. You know, I was thinking to myself, how can we do things differently? And that's where we started. You know, we want to build the first marketplace that really mobilises vulnerable seasonal workers into horticulture jobs and bypasses these contractors. And we're starting with the Kiwi-based workforce. Because what we identified when I really got down to the root of the problem was that there was clearly an imbalance. And I spoke a lot about that when I got voted in. But clearly there's really 2 very different sides of this marketplace. And so it's all about how do we create the conditions for people to connect, thrive and work with mana together on this marketplace. And that's where Job Loads comes in. You know, it's really time to restore balance. And so where we're at the moment, you know, we're building SaaS tooling to really help streamline hiring workflows. We've just developed network profiles, what you can see here, which helps us to restore balance and vet both sides of our marketplace. And we also facilitate transactions, so facilitate that relationship between pickers and growers.
To learn more about Job Loads, see the links that Nat has posted in the chat. Economics in a colonial context is something that we as women identifying, non-binary and gender diverse folks have been excluded from since the beginning of modern world systems. Yet economics is not something that we as Indigenous people are new to. Understanding our role in economic well-being is understanding our place, purpose, and values in the world. With that, I would like to welcome our next panel. Lee Joseph, founder of SheEO venture Squalowin Botanicals. Anong Beam, founder of SheEO venture Beam Paints. Janaya Winmar, SheEO Activator of Essential Services Australia. And the panel will be moderated by Jamie Glachet, SheEO Activator from Native Women Lead. Take it over, my friend.
Thank you so much, Echo. Yat Eshika, hello, my relatives. Jamie Glachet Yanisha. My name is Jamie Glachet. Nakaidena Nishle, my maternal grandmother's clan is the Mexican people. Aya Ibeshishchin, I am born for the Eagle clan. Kiowa Dashache. The Kiowa people are my grandfather's, my maternal grandfather's ancestors. Tiskoren Dashanella, the cottonwood trees are my paternal grandfather's ancestors. Atego Dene Adzan Nishle, in this way I'm a Navajo woman. BLD Dasanel de Nasha. I live and walk here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is in the Tira Territory, ancestral homelands. I'm a co-founder of Native Women Lead, an Indigenous women and community-led organization supporting Indigenous women here in the US. Thank you so much, Echo, for the invitation, intention, and inclusion in this space. Thank you to Jen Harper and Tira Fraser for introducing me to this beautiful global space of radically generous women. I'm just so grateful to share space with all of you matriarchs that are the backbones of our communities, carrying culture, language, children, families, and our nations to be resilient, survive, and thrive so that all people are well. So I just want to thank you all and welcome the incredible matriarchs, Lee, Anong, and Janaya, and open up the space to all introduce yourself in your way as you see. So I just want to go ahead and welcome Lee. Thank you.
Hi, Chika. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Echo, for the invitation. Lee Joseph Queensna, Stioet Quishaman, Anwanaxton Squalloan, Eoxton Sequatal, Squamish Okomeo. Hello, my name is Lee Joseph. My ancestral name is Stioet. It was given to me by my great uncle from my Sunema side of my family. And it means the wind that blows away the clouds and brings the sun. So you can see how much is packed into just a single word. It's a way of protecting myself in the work that I do, of feeling blanketed by the love of my family and ancestors. And I come from the Squamish First Nation on the west coast of British Columbia in what's now known as Canada. And I'm the founder of Squallow Botanicals, which is really my kind of love song to plants and to the ways that plants connect me to the land and to place, and really utilizing my business platform as a way to share stories of resilience and the strength that we draw from the land and the beauty that is embedded in our plant relatives and plant relations. So I'm happy to be here today. So excited to get into this topic. Hi, Chika.
Thank you, Lee. I love that. I'm acknowledging our plant ancestors. Anang, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, Annie, Anang Miguan Squim Indigenous class. I'm from Chigang First Nation, and that's where I live and work currently in Manitoulin Island in Ontario. And I'm the founder and head paint maker at Beam Paints, and we're an Indigenous paint making manufacturer. We make handmade watercolor, and we focus a lot on reimagining products and industrial design of art supplies to be plastic free. I'm really happy to be here, and definitely to speak about this topic is really exciting.
Thank you, Anang, and thank you for your reimagination that you're bringing to this space. Janaya?
Hi, my name's Janaya. I'm a Noongar Balladong woman from WA in Western Australia. I am living currently on Naarm, which is known as Melbourne. I've been here for 20 odd years, so living off country is just part of life now, but it's acknowledging where you are and connecting to that land. And my last group, we talked about how we ground each other and kind of reconnect with wherever we are, so that's really important. And I think this topic is one of the ones that us as Aboriginal people and us as Aboriginal women or Indigenous women have kind of reinvented ourselves in the last few years, because economic wealth for us meant providing for our family. So now looking at it through a different lens is a really interesting model. And I think that's why I was drawn to SheEO, because it kind of re-emphasized sharing that community growth. And that's why I loved it. I'm like, yes, how do I be involved in this? How do I bring other people to the table? And I'm all about connection and sharing that knowledge and sharing that story. And this is why it's important, because you look, we've got 122 women talking about all of these discussions, and how do we talk about connecting and sharing business growth and investment capital and financial support and business support, as well as cultural support. So that conversation in itself is just goes from strength to strength. So yeah, that's what I'm loving at the moment. That's the space I'm loving being in. So thank you all for sharing the space this morning.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yes, I love that strength to strength and the matriarchs that we're like what we're modeling as we share our story. Thank you. So I'd love to ask another question to Lee. Can you share a little bit about your worldview on Indigenous economy or Indigenomics?
Definitely. I think that one of the first things that comes to mind, I came to the work that I'm doing currently kind of through both an academic path and a culturally grounded path. So I'm an ethnobotanist by training, which is somebody who studies the cultural interrelationships between people and plants. And I think that along this path, I really started considering and thinking about, you know, what does wealth mean? What does it mean to be rich when we start to think about that in a different way? So when we start, from my perspective, I work with plants, and that's one of the places where I feel the most connected is on the land with plants. And to me, you know, looking at these culturally important plants, they carry with them, you know, what it means to be rich, what it means to carry wealth, enough wealth that you can share that with community, you can share that with your family to uphold health and wellness. You know, not when we consider that, though, there's of course it's necessary to look at the impacts on that knowledge, to look at the impacts that cascade throughout all of, say, in my case, my Squamish lifeways. So that would include, you know, impacts on language, in Indigenous law, on our own economic systems. And so when I come at that from a plant-based lens, I really think about sort of, you know, wealth in that way. And then quite close after that is a sense as a business owner and as an entrepreneur who is grounding, you know, what I do in my cultural teachings. There's a real sense of responsibility and looking at how to operate in a, you know, quote unquote, kind of traditional for-profit business model, while also looking at where I can reinvent the frameworks for that, where I can look at how to establish my own, you know, botanically grounded way of understanding my business, and that can look at sort of the roots of my business, you know, the growth and all of the cultural elements that are required to support that and sustain that. And especially as I grow in a team of Indigenous women with my business, it's really important to have a touchstone back to that and what that looks like, so that I'm really thinking authentically from the roots of where I'm coming from and the greater why of why I'm doing this to help guide my business and growth.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Lee. What resonated was the roots and the plants, and, you know, just another vision point. Thank you. Anang, I'd like to open that question up to you. Can you share a little bit about your worldview and or Indigenous economies or Indigenomics?
Yeah, definitely. I've really been thinking a lot about this lately, and what it took for me to be able to start a business, and a lot of the things that in the beginning, in the earlier part of my life, kept me from like kept me away from business or economy, things that were limiting, like living on a reserve in Northern Ontario, that there was no physical economy here outside of resource extraction. That like I had no physical access to that. And in the early years before the internet, you know, that was a reality. To be able to access that kind of economy, I would have had to leave my support system. I would have had to leave my land and my family and the things that me live at ease. So I think I feel like we're entering a really amazing time for Indigenous economy, because we have, through technology now, the ability to run our businesses and really inhabit our points of connection that really make us confident, and that helps us to give more. And that is also kind of, I've been thinking about how you define success as an Indigenous woman, or how you define business or economy. Really, it's always been about how much you can share and giving your best. And if you're able to give your best, and how many people you can bring up with you, how many people are working with you. And it's been really exciting to be able to grow my team and to work with other people here in Chiging First Nation and explore their interests in business. It's taken me to some interesting things like textile work and textile inks, and I can see it expanding out of just paint through using these tools together, like as a team. So that's what it means to me, the new connection through technology.
Thank you. Janaya, did you want to share about your worldview on the Indigenous economy or Indigenomics?
I think for me personally, with our company, because we're an Indigenous cleaning facility service, what we've kind of unconsciously done was procure from other Indigenous businesses. So it's that network that we have, giving other businesses that support, but also that financial support as well. So our legal team are an Indigenous company. Our comms and marketing team, they're an Indigenous company. And it's just been that unbiased growth where we've just gone, oh, I know someone that can do that, so I'm going to access that person. Then when you sit down and look at how we've created our little ecosystem, has been, my business partner is Greek, so it just turns out some of the Indigenous people are part Greek as well. So bringing them to the table has been that natural progression, because we've all got that transparent business integrity. And in that business world at the moment, we haven't been given that visibility that's out there. So now we're creating visibility for other people and bringing them along the journey. I've been one of the only Indigenous faces in a lot of white male boardrooms, and sitting down and going, how do I fit into this mix? So 2 years ago, I actually consciously went, you know what, I'm embracing this tokenism. How do I create an environment that further down the track, I'm not going to be the only Indigenous person in the room. I'm not going to be the only female in the room. So embracing that tokenism and using it to your advantage, because I previously, when I had that thought process, I was making other people feel comfortable in my presence, because that's how us as Indigenous people in Australia were taught to kind of not be an angry, loud black woman. So how do I go take that into the work environment and take it out of community? But then I'm like, you know what, you can't remove part of yourself to be in that scape. So 2 years ago, I'm like, you know what, I'm me and this is how it's going to be. And since then, business has just grown for me, because I am comfortable where I'm at, who I'm at, and I'm no longer making other people feel comfortable being in the same environment as me. And people are embracing it, which should have happened ages ago. And yeah, so I have such an amazing network, and I love being around the people that I have now, because that business integrity is one of those things that unconsciously we all support each other because we've got those same values. And as Indigenous women, we kind of connect with each other on a global scale, because I was in Canada a few years ago for the Indigenous Business Summit that was there, and reconnecting with a lot of the cultural connections that when I was first in Canada, I didn't necessarily have, because I was backpacking through Canada. So coming back as a business owner, but then also being comfortable in myself, like reconnecting with Canada brought a whole new meaning to stuff. Sitting at Stanley Park and hearing the songs that we were taught and shared throughout the conference was amazing. So for that social economy that we're doing, it's a circular economy, because we've been doing it for years, but now we're supporting other businesses to grow in that space. And Sister Sage shared something a few weeks ago, and she reached out to me and went, "Thank you so much for sharing that." I'm like, it's what we do. Like, it's amazing, because I resonated with what you shared, so of course I'm going to share it. And that's something that we can give other businesses for free, that digital support, that like, that share, that follow. It's one of those free things. So I love the free aspect of it, but it's also the visual aspect of it, because you're sharing it with your networks, and your networks are also sharing it, liking it into their network. So I'm all about the sharing the love. So thank you all for having me, and hopefully we can connect on a bigger level.
Thank you so much. I love that, the sharing, the generosity, the spirit that we embody and bring to this space. It's just so beautiful to witness, and I appreciate you all. I know I want to honor everybody's time. We have just like 2 more minutes left, so I want to close space with this final question to each of you. What does the future of the Indigenous economy look like to you, and are there any other insights you just want to share? So we just got like 2 more minutes, and would love to offer Lee to share.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I love just everything that was just shared in terms of the future is really through connection, through creating something new, through not trying to fit into spaces, but instead disrupting them and bringing forward the power and strength that our Indigenous people carry and embody. And that's the strength of all of our ancestors who have fought before us to carry the beauty forward into our world. And we are in the position to demonstrate that, and not for anybody else's sake, but for me, I think about my grandmother, I think about my ancestors, and I think about how I can carry that strength to that they passed on, to bring that into the world.
Thank you. Anang?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's so everything that's been said here. I think that the future is going to see us realizing we have the tools to really create in the place that we are, and to share out from a strong center, and that's going to be really transformational in the next decade, I believe.
Thank you. Janaya, what does the future of the Indigenous economy look like to you?
It looks like this room. It's us.
Yes. And that's like mic drop. Thank you all. I'm going to hand over the mic back to Echo. Thank you so much for the space and sharing your time and wisdom, and just want to honor you all for the beautiful shares.
Phenomenal. Absolutely wonderful panel. Thank you so much, Jamie, for moderating that. I'm gonna switch us over to our beautiful, beautiful friend, Andrea Menard, to close our circle. Don't go anywhere afterwards. We have a few words and we want to do a group photo. So please stick around after Andrea is done. Over to you, my friend.
Wow. Oh, I'm so moved by this gathering. So my name is Andrea Menard, Ninjko Tekwe, and Notgoyutin Dishnekashan. I carry the names Firewoman in Anishinaabe and Grandmother Wind in Cree. And I take those names very seriously. And as a mixed blood Métis person, I take that coming together of two very seriously. And what is here today, what is being represented, what is being spoken, what is being felt is that change is here. There's a rising up of the circle. There's a return to the circle and a rising up and a holding each other's hands and lifting up. And so, and in order, I thought I'm going to sing us a song, but I chose the song that came to me when I went on a fast. And I had nothing but a rattle and a drum, and I'm going to play the rattle, but it's an invitation to you too. It's just simple, simple, simple song. And it's very repetitive. It's very easy to sing, but that's why I'm choosing it for this group right here, so that you can sing it with me and it can resonate in your heart. All it says is Chimigwich Kisagin, Kisagitin. And that means thank you very much. I love you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. So I'm going to sing that, and I want you to go away from this beautiful gathering today hearing thank you, I love you, as you walk away, remembering the words and the spirit that was shared today. Can you hear that? That's it. Hope I didn't blow the mic out. Mwah.
Absolutely beautiful as always. Thank you, Andrea. And thank you all for joining our first Global Indigenous event. A big thank you to our speakers and all of our facilitators. Collective connection is the correction of the planet. Collective connection is the correction of the planet. To learn more about becoming an activator, please join our next global activation call if you are not already involved in our community on June 3rd. Where you'll learn more about the model, hear from Vicki, meet more ventures and activators. And you are also welcome to have a one-on-one chat with an activator to learn more. There will be some links shared in the chat there. I also want to mention that if resources are a barrier to activating, consider applying for a gifted activation in your region, and there will be links in the chat for that as well. Before we leave, I want to hand it over to my teammate, Jessie Wong, who will take a picture of this fantastic group together. I am so grateful for each one of you. Jessie, over to you.
So much, Echo. So if everyone can stay on for another minute, we'd love to capture who is here as part of this beautiful gathering today. So if this is your first time doing one of these on a SheEO event, I invite you to throw your hands up in the air or show some kind of symbol for how you're feeling in this moment. And in fact, I'm going to leave Janaya's question or Jamie's question, what does the future of the Indigenous economy look like, as our prompt? So on the count of 3, let's show, what does this look like? The future of the Indigenous economy and world. 1, 2, 3. And we have a few screens, so keep those hands up. 1, 2, 3. And a third screen. 1, 2, 3. And the fourth screen. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll pass it back to you, Echo.
Beautiful. In my language, we say cook's gem. In my son's language, we say haewith to say goodbye. This is only the start, and I'm so excited to be doing this work now. I look forward to relationship building from here and seeing what unfolds next. I think it's a SheEO practice that we're doing now. Please feel free to unmute yourself as you say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Merci.
Bye,
guys.
Thank you,
Echo.
Thanks, Echo.
Everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Hi, Julie.
Have
a wonderful day, evening.